One love to the humble, one love to the humble, one love to the humble. Grace and peace be multiplied unto you. Hey, look, man, it's a beautiful day out here today. It's a beautiful day out here today. I got the sun beaming in my eyes right here. Got my glasses on, got my focus on, my second set of eyes. You know what I'm saying? Got all of that on right now. And this video request is by the good brother Trey Day. This video request is by the good brother Trey Day. His request was, which president did black people do the worst under, and what were some of the laws that they made that made it, hard. So that's a good question, man. That was a good question, and I didn't just want to rush that video. I had to do a little bit of research, you know what I'm saying, to make sure that I gave the best information that I could. That's what I did. Now you're gonna hear some cars in the background because it's a street right over here that have some traffic. But that's okay. It's a nice day out today. And what's better way to sit outside, get some sunlight, vitamin D from the sun. It's all a good day. But in no particular order, but I didn't just write one president. I got multiple presidents, and I'm going to share with you not only multiple presidents, but I'm going to share to you the laws they made. Now, me personally, I'm not going to be able to tell you which one was worse, but you're going to be able to listen to this list, and you'll be able to come up with your own conclusion. You'll be able to come up with your own conclusion of what you think it is. But it was a very good question, and I got some very interesting answers for you. So what we're going to start off with is Andrew Johnson. Now, Andrew Johnson was president from 1865 till 1869. And see, what he was is he was against protection for newly freed black people after the Civil War ended. And he helped southern states pass the black codes, which restricted the rights of black Americans. So Andrew Johnson was 1865 to 1869. He was against protection for newly freed black people after the Civil War ended, and he helped southern states pass the black codes, which restricted the rights of black Americans. So here we are in 1865, already with problems, right? Already with problems. There's a president that was against protecting black people after the Civil War. So basically after the Civil War is when the freedom started. He said he ain't protecting no black people. He's not gonna do it. And he helped the southern states pass the black codes. If you don't know what the black codes are, go look them up. Which restricted the rights of black Americans. That's what Andrew Johnson did. Now you're moving on forward a little bit. You got Woodrow Wilson. He was president from 1913 to 1921. So he did 2 terms, I guess you could say. And what he did was he resegregated the federal government, undoing the gains that black people had made in federal employment after the Civil War. So he was against the Civil War. He was against helping black people in the Civil War. So after the Civil War, black people were free. It was opening up jobs. They made jobs available, and black people were getting jobs in government. And he was like, nah. Woodrow Wilson was like, nah, I ain't having that. So he helped, he resegregated the federal government, which he undone the gains that black people had made in federal employment after the Civil War. Resegregated means He where things was he undone it. So if there was an opportunity, he took it away. That's what he did. So if you worked in government, you had an opportunity to be in government, he was like, nah. Woodrow Wilson said, no, it's not happening. Woodrow Wilson was like, it's not going to happen. They move us on the way, all the way up. We got Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was president from 1981 to 1989. Once again, he did 2 terms. Now, Reagan had harsh drug laws leading to mass incarceration heavily in black people in the crack era. Now, I don't know where you was born. I don't even know if you understand the crack era. The 80s all the way up to the 90s, all the way to mid-90s, pretty much all the way up to like 2000. Crack was terrible in the black community. It wasn't just the 80s. It started in the 80s, but it got bad, and it was all the way through the 90s. And a lot of black people suffered during the crack era. Lots. I mean, if you was black and you lived in certain neighborhoods, you know what I'm talking about. Your neighborhood, if you lived in the hood, then you know what I'm saying. Crack was everywhere. I mean, everybody had crack. Kids were selling crack. Everybody was selling crack or smoking it. So you was either on one or the other side. You was either selling it, or if you wasn't selling it, you was smoking it. If you wasn't smoking it, you was selling it. And then some people were doing both. They were smoking it and selling it. But Reagan had harsh drug laws that led to mass incarceration, and it was really hurting black people. So he didn't have too many good policies. Let's move on. Now we got Franklin D. Roosevelt. Franklin D. Roosevelt. He came up with New Deal programs, helped many Americans during the Great Depression, but often excluded black workers, mainly in agriculture and domestic work. Now see, the reason why this hurt black people is because during the Great Depression, which wasn't too long after slavery, black people were good at farming and they were good at domestic work, meaning housework, because that's what we was able to do. But if you get excluded from that, then that's what hurts you, because that's what your main skill set is as a black person during that time. I'm sure they had other skills, but really during that time, agriculture and domestic work was like your main skill. And if you can't do that, then you don't have anything. And Franklin D. Roosevelt was like, no. He stopped all of their programs. Then you got Bill Clinton, the 1990s. He signed the 1994 crime bill, which expanded mass incarceration. Now you just had Reagan in the 80s, from 1981 to 89. Reagan he had harsh drug laws, giving like crazy numbers of years. You getting caught with a certain amount of crack, it was he was given like 40 years for that. And that was 1981 to 89. Now Clinton came right in the 90s. He expanded on the Ronald Reagan's bill, the 1994 crime bill, and that because crack was still going on, crime was still happening, it was still bad, and he expanded on that, making it even worse. So whoever was getting caught up in that time, they was going to do another 30 plus years, and some of them still going to be incarcerated today. I'm not condoning crime, I'm just reporting the information. Then we got Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson is a character to me. He's one of them ones that's kind of real strange. Now, Lyndon B. Johnson, he did the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed segregation in public places, banned employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. The Voting Rights Act of 1965, which protected black Americans' right to vote, especially in the South. The Fair Housing Act of 1968, which banned discrimination in housing. He also called the War on Poverty and started the war on crime simultaneously. And he has some tricky policies, very tricky. The black community was the hardest hit over the last 50 years, right? He helped the most legally, but long term things he started that did hurt. He helped legally, but long term he hurt the black community bad. Civil rights strategy. That's what he said. This was his civil rights strategy. He said, I'll have the N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Reported by several of Johnson's, the people he worked with, like Robert Caro and Ronald Kessler. They heard him say that. Now, after he signed the Civil Rights Act, he said, we have lost the South for a generation. What does he mean by that? What he means is, when he passed that Civil Rights Act, a lot of the white people that was voting, they won't vote for a generation, because the next generation will probably get back around to it, but that generation is lost. They won't agree with that. So he's going to lose them. But he'll be able to get it back, they was going to get it back in the next generation. That's what that means. He knew that helping black people would cause a massive political shift, and it did. The South turned Republican afterwards. So where he had all the South Democrats, once he made that move of the Civil Rights Act, all the people went Republican. He also said, these Negroes, they're getting pretty uppity these days, and that's a problem for us. Meaning, like, uppity mean like they're getting more organized and they're getting more money. They're moving up to, they're becoming more affluent. They be getting more money. They be getting in better neighborhoods. They're saving more. They're changing their lifestyle. That's what he mean by that. Uppity. That's what that meant. Now, he also had the war on poverty, which was 1964 to 65. Here's where the contradiction starts, which was the war on poverty was he started Medicaid, food stamps, and Head Start. He had the war on crime in 1965. The Law Enforcement Assistance Act 1965, giving the federal money to local police departments to get bigger and more aggressive. So that means in 1965, the Law Enforcement Assistance Act of 1965, which gave the local police departments more money to get bigger and more aggressive. As you see today, that's where we at. Now, instead of investing in jobs, education, or housing, the government put money into policing. And that has not changed since then. Still the same way. This all under Lyndon B. Johnson. I haven't changed off him yet. Everything I said since I said his name, that's him. Black cities got militarized police force. That's why you started seeing, like, in black communities during that time, in the 60s up until now, you start seeing more military style vehicles, military style police dressing like more militant. Like, if you look at the vehicles and the weapons and the dress that the military had when they go to war, the police force was doing that now because of Lyndon B. Johnson. The welfare policy, penalizing black families for having a man in the house. You couldn't have two parents and get welfare. So that's a great incentive for the women to push the man out. Like, you can't be here because I got to get this welfare check. So that started a cycle. It might have started at first as an agreement between the black man and woman, but it became like a phenomenon, and that was the standard. And it's still the standard to this day. You can't have a male living in your house. Back then, I don't know if they still do it now, but back then they used to actually come to your house and check, periodically or randomly. If they caught a man there, the women would lose their assistance. So it's he made it easier for a single parent to to get benefits if the father was not in the home or present. So if he was an absentee father or he was not in the home, it was easy for that woman to go down there and get assistance. And when she did, you could never come back to the house and live again. Or she would have to hide you when the folks came to check. But she wasn't going to go through all that stress. You're going to have to be gone. She accepted the welfare from the government over the man. So you tell me what you think. Who you think had the worst effect on the black community as a president? What law? I gave you the laws and everything that was negative. So you tell me out of those things, which one you think was the worst? Because black people still suffering. One of these presidents that I just named you, black people still suffer from what they did right now. Still suffering to this day. Now you can read it and listen to this video again and go over what I just named, and you tell me what you think. Who you think did the most damage? I got my answer. What's yours? Leave it down in the comments. Y'all take care.